welcome back to another stream. I've wanted to do this for a little bit of a while now. I think I did do a stream not too long ago. Kind of spoke about kind of like what's next and what's the future. But I wanted to kind of make this stream to talk a little bit more kind of about the future, and just to kind of like just talk a little bit to you because I've come to a little bit of a point in my life and in my journey where I've gotten a little bit stuck and I don't fully know where I want to go with like the next steps of like the music journey, the next steps like of my life. And I've got all these different things that are kind of calling me, like different outlets that like I could potentially take, different paths that I could go down. And I'm just kind of like really unsure like where I want to be. But there's like certain things that I do know that I still want to do, certain things that I do know that I still love. But in terms of like the main outlet of the future, like where do you see yourself in the future? Like that has really become unknown for me. And I've come into this real like where like I have like lately for a long time I've slacked for a long time on a lot of areas. Posting on social media has been a really big one for me. My Facebook is dead. Like and I kind of killed it myself, but I got into this little sort of like thing where like I didn't really know what I wanted to do and I didn't really know where I wanted to be. And the only thing that was kind of keeping me interested was doing the things that I'd already done for like countless years that just weren't really doing anything for me. So, for example, like I could have the motivation to boot the computer up and make a bounce remix, but when it came to like wanting to promote or push something on social media, the whole motivation had just like dropped for it, and I was getting into a cycle of like coming in from work and like going on the decks and having a mix, going on to FL Studio making a bounce tune, and then like but the thing was like never even doing anything with the bounce tune. So like I'd make the bounce tune, play it in a couple of sets, and then I'd make another one, and I'd never like put it up as a free download, or I'd never like submit it to like a Bounce Heaven or an X site. And it wasn't really for me, like I was just going through this same cycle, and it's all been part of this. I don't really know where what the next move is for me. And I'm in this like really stuck predicament where like I don't really fully know where I want to go next. What do I want to people to kind of know me for? What do I want people to see me as? What I know is I do want to continue DJing. I do obviously want to continue taking bookings. I do want to continue making music. I really do. And I've got some really exciting stuff that I'm currently doing at the moment with the Layman, which I am really excited for that. And I know 100% that is definitely an outlet that I definitely want to go down, and I want to make these tracks, and I want to put I want to put as much effort as I can into making these tracks do well, making them a success, making them sound good, making them sound ready for release, promoting the release. I want to 100%. I want to go down that avenue and tick all them boxes. But in terms of gigs and in terms of like other things, now obviously me and the Layman, we write a lot of music together, but of course I want to sit at home on my own sometimes and write something for myself. Whereas I'm sure he will want to sometimes just write something for himself. And that is where I've become a little bit sort of stuck in life. And just in general, like music in general, like I have come to a point now where I am listening to all different kinds of music, which maybe necessarily isn't a bad thing, because that is what can help to spark inspiration. But what I will tell you is that, like, I'm listening to all this music, and I don't fully know, like, in terms of like DJing, in terms of like doing the gigs, like what kind of outlet. Like, I kind of want to be as multi-genred as possible in that sense, but I do kind of want to, like, like, oh, this is the guy to book for so and so type of sets, as well as like being able to play the other stuff. Now, what I do know lately is I have really been getting back into my house music, piano house, classic house, funky house, and I've also been getting quite into kind of this, like, kind of like tech house, but playing it kind of like around like the 135 to 140, playing it a little bit faster, and just having a little bit more of a, rather, because normally when I was doing a house set, normally I'd play it at 130, and it was quite nice but quite slow. I used to get a little bit bored of it, because obviously, like, if I was playing a bounce set on the decks, I'd mix that at like 150, 155, hardcore 170. So when I was playing the house, it was sounding incredibly slow. But like some tracks, like you can't play them too fast, or they just don't sound right. However, I have found some really banging like remixes of like some classic house tunes, some really good tech house tunes that really sound nice and pumpy when you play them at that little bit of a faster speed. And last night I did go TikTok live quite late, and I played some of these tracks, and I tell you what, I had one of the most enjoyable live streams, and most enjoyable, like, just going on the decks at home, that I'd had in a long time. And I felt like every tune I was playing, I was loving it, and you could just tell by my facial reaction, the way I was just moving around more, and you could tell I was really into the songs. And then when I was mixing them in, they sounded really good, and I was even saying to myself, like, fuck off, like, come on, this sounds sick. And I was really into it. So I do know that, like, I want to kind of take a little bit of a dive more into this kind of, like, almost a little bit like a minimal hard house is like the way I'd describe it. It's like a minimal hard house where it's played a little bit harder and faster, but it's kind of still got all the elements of like the 90s pianos. It's got all the elements of like lyrics and feel good moments and organ sounds and real nice melodies and bass. The bass lines are real groovy, and they're not necessarily just like an offbeat bass line. And I really want to delve down that area some more. That is definitely something that I want to do. Now, yesterday I did a live on YouTube. Yes, I did a live on YouTube. I announced another artist, Piano. So Piano, I want to make some stuff like that. That is what I kind of set up the artist for, just so I could like have a dabble around with some like different sounds, and then I could just put something out that I maybe didn't feel like would just go under like Ash Noble. Like, I kind of feel like the Noble and Ash Noble is widely known now for like Layman and Noble. So I kind of wanted to keep the name for like all the proper like main commercial and stuff I do with the Layman to kind of go under that umbrella, and then it just kind of have like the Piano name, where like I can just play around with my own sounds, and I can just make some house tunes, and do something necessarily a little bit more creative, and not necessarily stuff that right, this is something that can get a full release and be like fully commercial. Like, I want some of it to be like quite underground and stuff, like maybe like you picture maybe like the likes of James Hype playing, and maybe even something like Paul Taylor at a retro night, or just something that ignites that kind of like feel good happy sounding, really uplifting, kind of nice melodies. And I just want to really, really pump up and make some absolutely belting tracks that I just think will sound really nice. So that's kind of why I set up that artist. That was what it was all about. Just mainly just to play around, and then like if any good comes out of it, I can put it under that name. You know, and maybe try and get some gigs under that artist as well, and play some more like house gigs and stuff like that, because I really would like to play some more like dance anthems and club tunes and trance tunes. I might even do some trancey bits under piano as well, and then just basically have a little bit of fun with it, because I've really at the moment, and I don't know if it's just obviously, for those who may or may not know, I have just recently lost my father, and he was very much into his house music. And I don't know, like, because when I grew up, I was into all of that kind of stuff. Then I kind of went off, discovered like hardcore, discovered like donk and bounce and reverse bass, hard style, all the other stuff, right? And I don't know if like the fact that I've lost my dad has kind of made me want to like reconnect with that music to feel close to him. But I realised how much I do love that style of music now. Obviously, what do I do? DJ, music producer, work for youth music, do a whole range of different stuff, presented on radio stations, not big stations, just like local community ones and online ones. DJed in nightclubs, small festivals, but I've just kind of got to a little bit of a in this stream, like what's the next step? I've done some amazing cool things, but what's next? You know, like where do I really want to like aim to like get gigs? You know, how do I want to kind of like go forward with like future gigs? Now, a lot of people that know me know that recently I've been writing to me bounce, as you know, for like the past sort of like 4 to 5 years. The bounce has really grown. Obviously I've done absolutely loads of like bounce stuff, and I absolutely love it. Don't get me wrong. I will always have a love for that genre of music. But I don't really get anywhere with it. That is like the thing. I play it. I absolutely love playing it. The thing about it is I'm not sending a track to Bounce Heaven every week, and I'm not sending a track to Excite every week. I'm not constantly entering bounce competitions. So in a lot of sense, like I don't push myself in that field of music quite often. But like I do have a love for the music, but I've always kind of been told that like there isn't really anything in that genre of music, and it's always kind of like, you know, I've had a love for it. That, you know, that's the be all and end all. Like I've got a love for it. But like I say, like I've put my name forward quite a lot of times in the past for various opportunities. I've done some really good bounce sets. I've done some really good bounce related things in the past. You know, they've never really led to anything else. And, you know, I'm not going to be caught. I ain't going to lie to you. Look, I'm not one to look down on the scene and be negative. But, you know, you do look at the scene like from an outside. And, you know, listen, I'm not going to lie to you. You know, and this might come across a little bit maybe negative, I don't know, but a lot of it is, you know, a lot of it is clicks, a lot of it is clicky. You've got the same group of friends all pushing each other because they're all in that same group. They go to each other's houses and have a mix, and, you know, they get on it together, and you know, they're at the same level. That's what it is. And you know, they make tracks together. They send tracks together to Bounce Heaven. they do this and they do that, and then a promoter's looking for somebody for a gig. They put that person forward. You know, oh yeah, this person up great for the gig, right? Now me, I'm one of these people where like I support everybody. Me, you know, if I see somebody online doing well, whether I'm particularly a good friend of theirs or not, whether I know them too well or not, if somebody online is just like, you know, I don't know, they're making some really good music, whether it be, you know, in bounce or hardcore, they're making some really good bounce tracks, original remixes, whatever it may be. If they're doing well, right, they, you know, and I see them like putting graft in, and I feel like, you know, like they would suit the opportunity, because you see these posts online all the time, like we're looking for artists for, you know, like a room 2, or we're looking for like new upcoming DJs who deserve it, you know. And if I see, so if there's somebody I think like that deserves an opportunity, then I will tag their name, and I will literally, like, you know, I will boost them, I'll give them that opportunity, right? And there's been quite a few occasions where I have like given people that I've classed or I thought were friends a boost, you know, where I've just thought like, you know, this guy's putting graft in, you know, yeah, you know, you have a, you know, this guy deserves a shout. And then I always would get like a message or like a reply to the comment, like, oh, you know, oh, thank you, you know, thank you for putting me forward, right? And then I'll see like similar posts, right? And I'll see the same guy commenting, putting other people forward that are like maybe part of his clique or whatever, right? But no mention of me. Like, you know, like I pushed you and put you for, and I push and support a lot of people, and I've not received it back, and that's just the way it goes. And I've just got to a point now where I thought like, you know, like what, you know, like my youth job is all about pushing the up and the coming, you know, like musicians, solo singers, guitar players. My whole job has been like a big part of that. So like I've always liked to have thought like I can transfer that over into the DJ scene as well, and you know, help people in that sense as well. You know, because I like to see people do well, of course I do, but I just feel like, you know, like people to either take it for granted, or, you know, like they just, you know, at the end of the day they're getting one more tag that is getting them closer to that promoter, thinking, all right, well, this person's getting a lot of, you know, tags, you know, people want him to do a set, maybe he's the one. So I can understand in that sense, you know, you're all kind of, I suppose, a little bit like you're in a competition, right? But I've just got to this real point, like I say, in the whole journey, where I don't really know where I want to go next. Like, there's certain outlets of music that I really, really love, like the bounce music, for example. Like, you know, I don't think I'll ever stop loving it, you know, and I always want to be able to play it, you know, and if I get booked somewhere to play it, like, bloody hell, I'm not going to turn it down. However, like, I just don't know, like, you know, I don't want to, like, at the same time, I don't want to sit there and go, like, you know, like 2026 is the year of donk, and I'm only going to make donk tracks, and every mix is going to be a donk mix, and I'm going to enter every, you know, bounce event competition under the sun, and you know, and I'm going to go to every bounce event, and, you know, I'm going to wear t-shirts that say donk on it, because that's not what I want to do. I am a guy that has a passion for all different types of music, and I think I think where I really, truthfully want to go is a little bit multi-genred. And what I mean by this is I want to kind of become my ultimate set, right? I'll be completely truthful with you. The set right now that I really feel in my mind that I really, really like to do, and this is like completely like this is really, really mad, right? But I want this like mixed genre set, right? Because I've got a love for loads of different types of music, right? So I would love to kind of play sets that kind of have this like 140 sort of like tech house sound in it, right? So like, you know, real nice like piano house in there, really nice piano tunes, right? And then I would also like to be able to like bring in some tracks into the set that are kind of like trance influenced, and have some like really nice like tunes that have like trance breakdowns in there. And then I'd like to have a couple of tracks in the set that maybe go a little bit kind of like clublandy, hard dancey, because I love the clubland. And then I suppose I'd like to maybe throw in a couple of bounce tracks just for good measure, and then like into some like hard dance tracks, and just kind of have like where I aren't necessarily just playing a bounce set, but there might be just like one or two tracks that kind of have like some bounce influence sounds in them. So like, you know, maybe there is like one or two tracks that have like a bounce bass line, and then like there's some tracks will have like a hard dance bass line, and some tracks will have like a little bit of a kind of like, you know, hard dance melody, or like, you know, a little bit of a groovy bass line. Some tracks will be a bit twisted, and that is kind of where I'd like, you know, just be in that kind of like make some like real good, almost like minimal hard dance, hard house music, where there's like some tracks have got like some clubland vibes to them, some tracks have got like trance elements to them, and then some just have them real nice like piano house kind of vibes, happy, you know, then like do, real nice short stabby piano riffs that sound really happy, and then have some like drops where they just go a little bit harder and twisted. And I think for me, that is where I'm digging it at the moment, like a kind of DJ set that can kind of like show like my love for different sounds of music without kind of just having a set that is just kind of like we're just playing bounce all the way through. It would be nice to have a set that is round the BPM of like what you would play bounce at, like, you know, maybe a bit slower, tad slower, you know, or maybe like the set progresses, so you do start round the 140, and then you just end up like, you know, you end up bumping it up a little bit, and then before you know it, you're kind of going, you know, into the territory of like playing something a little different, you know, and speeding it up a bit. That is kind of where I potentially feel like I want to kind of take my style, a music genre. The only issue with that is, I suppose, is like, what gigs would you really play that at? Now, like, so obviously I'm doing a memorial event in memory of my dad. That is going to be very much like a type of night where I'm going to kind of go from like different genres of music. That is going to be like a really kind of like cool sort of like influenced kind of thing. But yeah, I'm just, you know, like, what would I really like to do in that sense? What I would like to do, I'd love to record a mix that goes like through the like, and call it through the genres, and start off at like 130, and then maybe go all the way up to like 150, and like finish on some like bounce tracks. Like, it would be really cool to like tackle like, you know, like play a couple of house tracks, move on and play a couple of trance tracks, move on and then play like a couple of like maybe like some hard housey tracks, and then go into some like clublandy, and then sort of finish up with some bounce. That'd be a really cool recording to do. And so I have got like general ideas, but what usually happens for me is I get these ideas and I want to do these ideas, and you know, nothing stops me from wanting to do the ideas in my mind. Like, I've started a hell of a lot of things in the past, and then like I've never gone back to them, and there's never really been like in recent times. I've never really sat there and thought, the hell, my light just literally turned itself off. Oh, you shut me up! You idiot! You.
Bruv, I've been stuck
Oh,
there
you
ages.